Hello everybody, I'm gonna do some Houdini and vellum today, and that's kind of cloth or textile or fabric. So as you see here, we have there is actually cannons here that have cloth over it and some boxes. So I'm gonna show you how easy it is to do asset like this to use in Unity. And I also have a shader that I made that you also can see a tutorial in. It's a really good one. You can decide how many threads you want in it, and of course colors and smoothness, and also if you want to add some dust on top of it, and yeah, some other settings. So let's get started with the meshes for these cloths. So I'm just gonna delete this and we do it from scratch. So first off, Houdini, and I have this Houdini opened, and I'm gonna save the Houdini file inside Unity. It's easier to organize, otherwise I would save it in a different folder. So first off I'm gonna get the file path like this, and I'm gonna in Houdini, whoops, I'm gonna save this, save as, and it's gonna be in here. So I'm actually gonna do fabric 01 tutorial like this, and you can have your windows as you want. I have it like this. I like it. Have my notes here, inspector here, and scene view here. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna make sure we have a grid. That's gonna be the size of the. Okay, so what happened is here, it's first off we need a geometry node like this, and we go inside it, so you can think it as a folder. So you can see here it's object, and now we'll go inside the object and geo file. So in here I'm gonna make a grid. So what I do, I press tab and then I do grid, and this one is 10 by 10, and I think 6 by 6 is pretty good, that I've been trying out. And this one we're gonna have it 3 meters. The unit is in meters, so now it's 3 meters up in the air, and I'm gonna do transform. Actually, I'm gonna wait with this one so you know what's going on. So I'm gonna do ROP FBX, and I'm gonna make sure. So what's happening here is that you see a dollar sign and hip. That means it's gonna be saved next to the hip file. So the hip file is where this file is saved. So if I middle click on it, you can see the full path like this. So it's gonna be saved in the Unity folder structure. So I middle mouse click again to get back, and then I just do fabric 01. Actually 01 again. I'm going to show you how to do lots as well, so I'm just right now do it load 1 at the beginning, so I have it set up. So I just save it, and if I just put the screens next to each other, so now let's see, it was saved over here. So if I drag it in, here we have it. So you see it's really small. First off, I'm going to center it, and the reason I do like this, I want to show you what's going on. So it's really small, so to make sure that you make the size correct, you do want to do a transform node before you export it, and do it 100 times. We save it again, and we click here to update it. And now you see, now it's 1 by 1. So what you see in here is the same in here. So this one is 3 meters above the ground and 10 by 10. So the first thing, well, also you see here I have an input folder. So I have these some assets that I found on asset store, that's free. And I'm gonna do file. I'm gonna give you the link in the description so you can see where I found these assets if you want to use the same one. So here you see I got the grid that represents the cloth, and I'm gonna just click here with the file node, and then I'm going into the same destination where this Houdini file is, and you can see the input folder. You can see it here too, and I just go in here and I have these files already. I'll take this one and I choose the third FBX. So here you have a cannon, and this cannon is super big. It's like almost, well, it's kind of offset, and if I reference this one, you see it's huge. So I just figured out if we do transform and scale this one to 0.05, then I find it a good size for us. And we're going to use a match node, match size. You can see the name here, and then you see it's just center it to the world's center, and it's not exactly as I want it. That's because if we look here, justify I, we don't want it to be in center, we want it to be minimum. So now you see it stands in the center, and this is great. So I have some tea here because I'm a little bit sore in my throat, so I'm gonna make this with a little bit of tea. And of course we need some UV for this texture. And if I press space 5 over the scene view, then we can see the UV space. So if I just untick this one, you can see here is with it. And I want to have it in real world scale. And what I mean by that is this UV represent 1 by 1 meter, and this one is 6 by 6, right? So actually this one should be, if we do transform UV, it should be scaled 6 by 6. Now translate is moving, scale is what I want. So here you can see now it's 6 times by 6 times. So in a shader, if you do a pattern that's gonna be 1 meter, you know for sure it's gonna be 1 meter because this one is world scaled, so to speak. And actually you can see here it's actually a little bit space, and it's easy to fix in the UV. Just Iceland padding and lower it to 0, so there's no padding. And I want this to be more procedural, so I'm gonna, instead of using this UV transform, I'm gonna do a wrangle attribute, and I place it here, and I'm gonna show you 2 ways to do this. So here you can see the points, and they have position attributes. So point 0, so if I do space 1 over here, I get back here. So all these points have a position, and the vertices, they have also values, and these values, if I do space 5 again over here, so the first vertex is 0, 0, that's down here, has the value 0, and this is close to 0 and 0. and the next one 0 and 0.1, maybe one of these two, maybe, I don't know. And so what I want to do, I want to use this wrangler, and I want to run over not the points, but I want to do the vertices, because I want to scale these points. So okay, so if I press blue here, then this one is activated, and we see what's it represent here, and that's, now you can see that 0.1 is pretty, you can understand that this is 0.1, or actually more like 11, as it says. So what we're going to do, like this. We're going to do float and scale x is equal to channel scale x. So what I do here, I create the variable scale x, a float, and it's equal to channel, and the f tells it's a float channel, and the name of it. And if I press this one, it comes up here, and so the thing we want to do with this one is this vertices, you can see it as a loop. For each vertices over here, going to do the command inside here. So the first, let's say the second point, this one, we're going to take and do v as for vector, because it's free floats. So it's going to be v at uv. So that's a quick way to access the vertices. And we're going to do also dot x times equal scale x. Whoops, scale x, like this. So what's happened here? This should be uv. So now you see, I'm doing something not correct. Oh, times equal, of course. So you see here. So now we can control it, and we're just gonna read this value. So instead of copying it like copy paste, we do right click and copy parameter, and then we just do right click and paste relative reference. So now you see it's times 6, and we do the same thing for the I. So this is the I, and up here is the X, right? So here we do scale I, and we do another one, and we do the same thing, right click, copy parameter, and down here paste relative reference. So now you can see, if we scale this one, we get the correct UV space, UV. So now when we have this in order, we could also just higher this resolution, because I want more resolution. So if I do space 1 again and remove the points like this, because it has good resolution. And this part now is pretty easy. We're just gonna do vellum cloth, vellum configurable cloth, and this one is gonna go into a vellum solver, and whoops, just gonna reattach as it should be. And then we're actually just gonna have this object as a collision. So we put it here, so that represents the thread go in here and here. We could just put it like this as well. And if we do this one and reset simulation, I was hoping this error should be gone. It doesn't say why. Anywho, so let's just play down here to simulate. And it works. So you see it more like a ghost now. We're just gonna make sure that we use this ground position here. So now we have we don't need to add it ourselves, we just have it. And if we do it again, we have it. So as you see here, we're gonna add some details to this one. But first, we're gonna add it. So if we go back to Unity and check, we can see that we have it in here. We see a few problems, but it works. So there is normal issues and the mesh is a little bit jaggy. If we press this button here, we can see the mesh. So we're gonna sort this thing out, and we're gonna do a post balloon post process. So what's gonna happen is, if we check on this one, we can see the problem here too. So we can see the jagginess, and if we do the post process and we do some subdivision, we can see the subdivision takes care of it. We could also add some blurriness like this. That's also a feature, but we don't need to use that in this case. So, and also we need a normal. And let's see how this looks. And here we should see let's see here. So first off, if we, okay, here it is, now it updates. So one thing that we need to do as well is take care of the normals, because here you can see the line, and this line is because it breaks. Easy fix in the normal, we just do the cusp angle up to 180. And if we save this one again and click in Unity to update it, okay, so it needed to update a bit. So again, and now you see the normal issue is gone. So actually, if we just put a fabric on it and remove, we see only shader, here we have it. Now there is more thing we can do to make it even more interesting that you saw in the beginning. So we can actually add some, we're gonna use a vellum brush to manually deform it a little bit, and I'm also gonna show how easy it is to just make a LOD 2, for instance. So see you in the next tutorial.